2022 meeting. I'm Debbie Skopczynski and chair, and I am joined tonight by Kay Stevenson, who is our vice chair and also public safety chair, Jane Rawlings, who is our alcohol permits chair, Rebecca Faulkner and Jack White, who are zoning co-chairs this year, and taking minutes is Aruna Narasimhan. Today is the observance day for Juneteenth, which was actually yesterday. And because it's a new city and federal holiday, our planner, Doug Young, will not be joining us tonight. And I would expect that we will not have a whole lot of city reps present at the meeting. There are two agendas, and I posted both of them in the chat just a minute ago. The one with the map is the complete agenda for the evening, and there is a consent agenda which includes applications which historically the NPU has approved with no discussion. The consent agenda is also available in the chat. If you are here for an application, please check the full agenda, that's the one with the map, to find your agenda item. There's one agenda change, and that is the LGBT plus history project presentation will be given next month, and that's because our planner is not here tonight. A very quick orientation for first time or infrequent Zoom users. When you entered the room, your audio was muted. Please stay muted throughout the meeting so that background noise does not interrupt the flow of the meeting. You can unmute on your screen or use *6 to mute or unmute if you're listening in on your phone. That's *6 for muting or unmuting. Zoom publishes a participant list which lists everyone who is attending the meeting. Your name should be at the top of the list. If there's more than one person using the same device, please include both names on the participant list. Click on More to the right of your name, and you'll find an option to rename. Your name will have may have a V in front of it. Please do not change that V. It indicates verified members. Tonight, we are not going to be verifying membership because of the nature of the agenda that we have tonight. Nothing controversial or needs reporting directly to the city. For items, for most items, we'll be using the honor system to vote. I ask you to please resist the urge to vote if you don't live in the NPU. In the event we do need a hand count, we'll be using the raise your hand icon. You'll find this button behind the reactions tab, which on most devices is at the bottom of the screen. Residents of NPU-F may vote on issues unless they have a financial interest in the application or motion. For example, a property or business owner may not vote on their own variance or rezoning request, but they can vote on everything else. If you're not an NPU resident, business owners may vote if they have met the requirements as described in our bylaws. There is a chat for you to share comments to an individual or everyone in the meeting. For most of you, it'll be at the bottom of your screen. Copies of the agenda, the consent agenda, the minutes for May have been uploaded into the chat. The chat room will be monitored for comments and questions, but we will only be answering questions if they are relevant to the topic being discussed. You may save the chat by clicking on the 3 dots at the bottom of the screen, and that should be active tonight. At NPU-F, our meetings follow a town hall format. If you wish to speak, please use the raise your hand function, or if you're on the phone, hit *9. You'll be called on to speak in order that the hands go up. Please be sure to stay muted until you're invited to speak, and then identify yourself so folks will know who is speaking. Please don't wave your hand on the screen unless you're just being friendly, because there are too many people in the room for me to see it. And please do not speak unless you are called on. Others may be in the queue and waiting their turn to speak. Please keep all questions and comments germane to the topic being addressed and respectful of everyone in the meeting. To allow all an opportunity to speak, I'm going to ask that you only speak once on a topic unless you are asked for clarification or a question on previous remarks. So that we can hear and we can get a good recording, it's important that only one person speak at a time. If you interrupt, you will be muted. Reminder that any form of campaigning is prohibited at NPU meetings per the city ordinance. This includes introducing yourself as a candidate, introducing yourself as representing a campaign or candidate, or displaying campaign posters or other materials on screen. It's not necessary to remind this group to register or to earlier absentee vote. Information has already been provided on the consent agenda. And most folks are here already get calls, texts, and emails. This rule will be strictly enforced to keep you and me out of trouble. Finally, we are here tonight because city ordinance provides residents of Atlanta through the NPU system the opportunity to provide recommendations and comments on applications and legislative changes that impact our quality of life. It's our responsibility to tell them what we think and, when appropriate, to share that strength of that opinion through hand counts. All votes taken at the NPU are only recommendations. Finally, decisions are made by city boards, city administrators, or city council, and I hope that you'll take advantage of expressing your opinion there as well, either in writing, by phone, or by making a comment during public hearing opportunities. Before we get started, are there any other items that should be added to the agenda this evening? And as I mentioned earlier, the presentation that is on the agenda will be deferred until next month. If you have any changes to the agenda, please raise your hand, which is under the reactions tab. Seeing none, is there a motion to adopt the agenda minus the presentation?
So moved.
Thank you, Kay. Is there a
Second.
Thanks, Jane. Are there any objections to approving the minutes? If not, the minutes will be adopted, or the agenda will be adopted. Okay, I don't see or hear any objections. Next item is approval of minutes from last month. Thanks to Aruna for taking the minutes last month. The May minutes were sent to those on the NPU mailing list, which comprises of close to 800 names, and including verified members. Is there a motion? Does anyone have any changes to last month's minutes? Let me ask that first. If not, is there a motion to adopt the minutes for May without changes?
So moved.
Thank you, Kate.
Second.
Second. Here's Jane. Are there any objections to adopting the minutes? If so, please raise your hand or call out. This is one of the few times that calling out's okay. I don't see any objections. Oh, I'm sorry. Aruna? I see your hand raised.
That was a mistake.
Okay. But she found the raise your hand function. So there are no objections in the meeting, minutes are adopted. Two reminders or two announcements. The first is that tomorrow is election day for the primary runoff. If you haven't voted already, please be sure to vote at your regular polling place. Precincts are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You may vote in the runoff even if you didn't vote in the primary election. If you did vote in the primary, you must vote for the same party in the runoff. And you've probably received thousands of reminders for that. And the second announcement is that this is the first call for changes to the NPU-F bylaws and our policy sheet. You can find a link to both documents on the consent agenda or on the NPU-F website. Please send any proposed amendments to me. My email address is at the top of the agenda. We will plan on an executive committee in July to discuss and prepare recommendations, which will be announced at the NPU meeting in August. A vote will be taken in September to adopt 2023 bylaws, we are required by ordinance. It's one of the very few things the city requires of us to submit our copies of the bylaws by September 30th, or the city will not accept any recommendations from our NPU. So it's time to start the process. Reports from city departmental representatives is, let's see, I think I saw Captain Malecki from Zone 6. Did you want to start?
Sure, we'll kick it off. Good evening, everyone. Captain Malecki, Zone 6. I'm the assistant commander. I want to start out by giving a few general updates to APD, and then we'll get a little more specific into Zone 6. So you may have seen on the news that the Fulton County District Attorney's Office has brought back Court Watch. So that's an opportunity for you guys to get involved. I'll put the link in the chat for you to sign up for that. It's courtwatchatl.org. And that gives you guys an opportunity as citizens to kind of see the other side of the criminal justice system as cases go through adjudication. It holds the police accountable, it holds the judges accountable, and the DA's office. So it's another great program for you guys to get involved with, and I will put that in the chat. The second thing, we talk about Connect Atlanta quite a bit, and I want to give you guys a quick update on that. So as of last Thursday, we have 5,798 fully integrated cameras. So that gives us the opportunity to view every one of those cameras. From the citizen side of it, we have 3,021 registered cameras. So that's registered homeowners signed up for that. And that gives us the opportunity to shoot you guys an email if we think a crime happened in your neighborhood, and you guys could check your video and provide that to us. So it saves our investigators an awful lot of time of driving around looking for cameras when we can just shoot an email to a bunch of residents and see if you guys captured anything. You guys are very familiar at this point with our PAD program. Captain Vanes from Zone 2 and myself attended a meeting last Friday with some of the representatives of PAD. And I want to share a quick number with you guys. So they took individuals who've been in the program for a period of 6 months, and they looked at what is the recidivism rate of those individuals. And I'll be honest, I was extremely surprised to find out of 82 individuals in the PAD program, only 2 of them had reoffended. 1 of them had been arrested and 1 of them received a citation. So I'm happy to announce that Zone 6 actually leads community referrals in the entire city. So if you guys see something, continue to do what you're doing, call 311, get PAD involved. If we get individuals who participate in that program long-term, the numbers are showing that it does have an impact and it is working, and those individuals are not reoffending. With summer coming up, one thing I do want to announce, Major Reese may have mentioned it last month, I wasn't on, but we received 3 new officers assigned to Zone 6. And with that, we took 2 of our senior officers and added them to our bike unit with the sole task of patrolling our parks in the summer. So if you guys are in Zone 6 and you have a park in your neighborhood, you should be seeing our bike units out there engaged and hopefully having some impact on the community. So those are some of the updates I have. I don't have any significant incidents to report out of Zone 6. I will say that as summer comes in full swing here with the kids out of school, one of the things we are always concerned about is our property crimes going up. So as always, we'll ask you guys, please don't leave items in your car. Keep your cars locked. Don't leave firearms, purses, wallets, anything like that. That will increase the likelihood of you guys being victimized of property crimes. So that's what I have. If there are any questions, I'll go ahead and address those now.
Sorry, Captain.
Go ahead, Jack.
I had my hand raised.
Oh, I'm
Debbie.
sorry, Kate, go ahead.
I just wanted to say thank you. We had a message on Nextdoor this morning that last night someone entering vehicles on Highland Terrace set off a camera alarm. They called the police. The police were there very quickly, and that individual was taken into custody. And we understand he was actually many places in the neighborhood last night. So we really appreciate that quick response and getting that guy out of the neighborhood.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And yeah, we always encourage, if you guys see something, call 911. We don't know about it. We can't do anything about it. So thank you very much for that. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Anyone else have any, Jack? Your hand is raised. Thank you. Do you need to unmute, Jack?
Let me try again.
No,
Captain
you're
Malicki,
good. You're
can you-
fine. Go ahead.
can you repeat the statistics on the cameras, registered cameras, APD and citizen? Thank
Sure.
you.
Sure. So this is as of last Thursday, 5,798 integrated cameras. Integrated means that we have access to them. So I could get on my computer at work and look at those cameras. And then 3,021 registered cameras. Registered means that if a crime happens, I could pull up your email address and see that, you have a camera in that area that is registered. I could shoot you an email and you could check for a specific time and see if you captured that incident for me.
Thank you very much.
Sure, no problem.
Captain Malecki, I have a question about Court Watch. There has been a Court Watch program in the past that was limited to the courts in Fulton County. Is this new Court Watch program a continuation of that one, or is this one also going to include municipal court?
So this is one that was set up through Fulton County District Attorney's Office. So the link I provided is just for Fulton County. I will have to check if there are plans to expand upon that outside of the county court.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for the captain?
Debbie, Stephen has his hand raised, and then I can give you a little more information on Court Watch.
Super. Stephen Ramsden, go ahead and unmute.
Hey, thanks for allowing me to speak. Captain Malecki, thank you also from this end. I live next to the disaster that is Friends Neighborhood Bar at Ponce Place and Ponce Avenue. And we had some pretty rough situation the last 2 days here with a guy, a homeless guy. And we had to go through a couple of officers, but your new, is it quality of life officer, Stanion?
From Daywatch, Danio. Yeah.
Stanio came out today and it was just superb professional. We really settled us because we were really upset about what was going on back here. And then another officer, Roberts, just came out a half an hour ago and dealt with this guy very professionally, had him clean up his own mess and walked him out. And I just wanted to tell you that did wonders for the 6 of us that live here and have to put up with Friends and all the associated nonsense. So thank you from that end. And I just wanted to let you know it meant a lot to us.
Awesome. I appreciate that. And I'll let those officers know. It
Please
means a
do.
lot when they
Please
hear
do.
that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Kay?
Yeah, the Court Watch that was referenced tonight is definitely for Fulton County. And it's going to be a little different from the way the program worked in the past. There will be some training involved. And then individuals who volunteer will actually be assigned a case to follow, as opposed to it just being sort of a random, you find out a day ahead of time that there's going to be a hearing. That's the way it used to work. So that it sounds like the program has been revamped and is going to be quite effective. The other piece, when you asked about the city, we asked the mayor about this at APAB, and he is very open to the idea of extending a Court Watch like program for city court. So we're going to follow up on that and see if we can't get that to happen this year.
Great, thanks. Jack, you have your hand up again, or is that from before?
We've heard a lot. We hear a lot of negative references about Friends. Do you have any pending cases against Friends, sir? Is it your impression that they are a more or less lawful bar than the other bars in our neighborhood? Do you have any such impression?
No, I'm not sure on any pending cases. That's something that would go through our license and permits unit.
Thank you. Have you charged them with any crimes in the last few months or 6 months that you can remember?
So the establishment directly, I don't know off the top of my head, But again, if there is a violation stemming from an establishment, that would not be something that is worked by the zone. That would go through our license and permits unit.
How can I find that information out, sir?
You could
'Cause I'm
submit,
curious about that.
you could submit an open records request if you go to the apd.org website, go to the community tab, and then in there's information on submitting open records requests.
I will do that, but you don't remember any of your own experience.
Not off the top of my head, no.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Captain Vans from Zone 2.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I want to introduce myself. Newly assigned to Zone 2 about a month ago, coming from the night commander position in the city of Atlanta, where I was working overnight for about 7 months. A little background, I'm initially started working in Zone 3, Southeast Atlanta, was promoted to sergeant, worked in Northwest Atlanta, and then promoted to lieutenant, back to Southeast Atlanta, down in Zone 3 again. So been bounced around the city quite a bit. This is my first experience in the northern part of the city. So I'm excited for this opportunity and this challenge. I put my information in the chat for everyone as well. I'm piggyback a little bit off what Captain Malecki was discussing. The biggest challenges that we're seeing in NPU-F on the Zone 2 side are vehicle break-ins. So over the last 28 days, we've had 15, which is averages to 1 every other day. But we're having our officers really focus on these retail spaces, apartment complexes where we're having these issues, conducting drop-ins as well as directed patrols, and then encountering anybody that's floating in and out of these parking lots, like possibly involved in suspicious activity or targeting individuals' vehicles. We're also pushing the Clean Car campaign, and See Something, Say Something, as well as Crime Stoppers is a great form to get information to us anonymously as well. I have an arrest from last Saturday I'd like to share with everybody. It was actually on the drive. The Chevron suspicious person call comes up. Officer Petkoff responds quickly and encounters a male in a vehicle. The male is a little intoxicated, kind of out of sorts. Officer Petkoff is able to recover a significant amount of narcotics, marijuana, cocaine, prescription pills, a firearm, and about 6 driver's licenses that did not belong to the individual. So this individual is still in Fulton County. Here's a photo of him. So Mr. Dixon, approximately 45 years old. So it was a really good arrest and quick response by Officer Petkoff. Just the encouragement from the supervisors and myself and Major Mitchell trying to encounter these citizens, especially if it's a 911 call or something suspicious comes up. But I just wanted to share that with everybody in the group as well. And if anybody has any additional questions.
Does anyone have any questions for the captain in Zone 2? Rich Sussman?
Okay, yes, thank you, Captain. Was that the Chevron at Piedmont and Morosco that you made the arrest?
No, that was on Monroe Drive, sir. 2195 Monroe.
Okay, thank you. And also, was the zone involved in the arrest for the car racing the other night, or was that a special unit with the State Patrol?
That was actually our evening watch lieutenant was involved in the initial incident where he was struck by the street racers. Gave a good description of the vehicle, coordinated with State Patrol in DeKalb County to make the arrest just on the other side of the line. But it was my officers relayed the information and shared the information, but State Patrol in DeKalb County were the ones that responded and made the arrest.
Is your officer okay?
Yes, sir. There were no injuries.
Good, thank you.
Thanks, Rich. Any other questions? I don't see any hands raised. So Captain Vans, welcome to NPU-F and to Zone 2. We're going to make it easy for you tonight and hope to see you.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Don't hesitate to reach out as well if myself or Major Mitchell can help in any kind of way in NPU-F. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Chief McLean from Atlanta Fire Department.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'll keep this very brief. I've put my contact information in the chat as well. Just some quick news as far as Atlanta Fire Department goes. We'll be graduating 24 new recruits out of training tomorrow night. This will have a direct impact on the NPU. I'm not sure of the number of the recruits that will be coming to this area of town. It's approximately 3 or 4. We also have 83 recruits still at our training center going through the training process. Also have additional new hires that are just now being brought on board that are working out of our headquarters currently. I don't know the exact number on that. Obviously, we're still hiring. It's easy to check out at atlantafirerescue.com. Please continue to spread that word to anyone in the community interested in joining the fire department. Since the last meeting, NPU-F, Engine 19 responded to 255 calls for service. Engine 15 at Fire Station 15 on 10th Street responded to 399 calls for service. And the ladder truck at Station 15 responded to 310 calls for service. No major incidents to report since the last NPU-F meeting. Just to give you an update on the Fire Station 19 renovation project, we're anticipating a move-in approximately July, late July. It could potentially be early August. Been by the fire station a few times here in recent weeks. The refurbishment of the fire station is looking really good. The inside looks really good. I think right now there's something they're working out with the windows. That's what's put us in a little bit of delay back to July. And really last is just our summer message, safety message. We're gonna have some big time heat moving in. For those that may have not seen the weather this next week, a couple of weeks, we're gonna have temperatures approaching 100 degrees. We're stressing everyone that we can get the message out to. Please check on your neighbors. Please check on the elderly in your community. It's going to be really, really warm over the next 7 days, 7 to 10 days. Obviously, it's hot during the summer, but this is going to be above average temperatures. And really, that's it, unless there's any questions for me or the fire department. All right. Thank you. I see one hand raised.
Yeah, just a quick question. In light of the fact that fireworks set fire to the roof of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, do you have any advice for the group about fireworks and safety?
Really, as far as that goes for the 4th, the big thing we always try, well, I can say this. One of our biggest challenges on 4th of July is dumpster fires and trash can fires. We in the city, we do a really good job. In my experience, been here 20 years of shooting fireworks on the 4th of July and relatively no big, no harm, no foul as far as house fires go or building fires. But what we do have a problem with is people discarding fireworks into trash cans and trash bins and dumpsters. As far as safety goes with fireworks, just general safety is what we're going to advertise. Obviously, they can be purchased anywhere now that they're back legal in the state of Georgia. General safety as far as only adults handling them, preferably non-intoxicated adults handling the fireworks, and just general safety precautions. Because keep in mind, there's a stat, I don't want to quote it, I'm sure the CDC has it out there, of the amount of injuries each year on the 4th of July. And it's pretty staggering if you see the amount of injuries that occur dealing with fireworks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your time, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Thanks for being here tonight. Are there any other representatives from the city that are here tonight?
Yes, Officer Ferguson, Public Works.
Hey, Officer Ferguson, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I don't have much to bring you guys, but I would like to remind you that if you have any large piles out in front of your home or 20 bags or more, it must be called in before pickup. We don't want it to stay out too long, but we are maybe like a week out or two before scheduling, but it must be scheduled in order for it to be collected. That's about all I had to bring you guys. Do anyone have any question for me?
Any questions? Officer Ferguson is with Public Works. And you are collecting on schedule this week, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. I don't see any hands raised. Officer Ferguson, thank you so much for being here and on your day off.
Thank you, and you all have a good night.
Thank you. Is there anyone else
Thank you.
here from the city that has a report? Last call for anyone from the city. If not, we'll move to comments from elected officials. Councilmember Juan is here with us tonight. Welcome, Alex.
Thanks, Debbie. It's good to be back. A couple of things that are happening with the city right now. Number one, the biggest one is we're hoping to pass the FY23 budget tomorrow. Hopefully giving police and fire a significant raise given the retention and recruitment issues. There's a lot of money in there for affordable housing, moving PAD to 24/7 operations, and then just kind of general operations for the city. But tomorrow, 1 o'clock is showtime, and we'll see if the work we've been doing through the hearings over the last month will pay off with a smooth passage. One of the things I did want to bring up to everybody, it does include a change in the solid waste fee way that we're handling this. You may be aware that the previous administration and council passed a solid waste fee, I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and then was promptly sued by a group of folks who were successful in court based on the way that the fees were calculated and charged. We've been kind of mashing through that, working with the attorneys, working with just some outside resources as well. And city utilities passed or will potentially pass tomorrow kind of a different way of doing that should withstand another legal challenge that has assessments for homeowners, but then also has the general fund picking up some of the activities associated with just, citywide type benefit, not particular parcel specific. So things like street sweeping, things like right-of-way maintenance, and just cleanups and things like that happen throughout the city. What this is going to mean, though, however, is a $20 million increase that was not planned in the general fund as we went into this year's budget preparation. And there will be a millage rate increase of 0.67 mils to cover that increase. Now, what we've done, though, at kind of my insistence, is we put a 2-year time limit on this because I firmly believe that the current solid waste fee in the study is based on particularly inefficient operations. And what we did was said this: you get 2 years with this, but in the before then, you've got to come back to us with a complete analysis of all the different possibilities. There are municipalities that do pay as you throw. There are municipalities that have privatized. There are municipalities that have more efficient operations. So we'll see. We're going to keep the administration's feet to the fire on this. They wanted 3 years. I said no. That 2 years was plenty to figure it out. But I didn't want y'all to be surprised when you saw that in terms of the millage rate going up. Now, the timing on this sucks too, because Fulton County, I don't know if folks have started receiving their property value assessments, but I anticipate that they're going to go, a lot of property values are going to go up as well. So just be on the lookout. Remember, that's if you want to challenge that, that's with the county, not the city. We're doing everything we can to keep our numbers down. Wanted to talk about the two things about Cheshire Bridge. Number one is the bridge. The notice to proceed on the design build was issued finally on May 5th. after I went down to the municipal clerk's office, went diving into a basket full of contracts waiting to be signed and pulled that out to get the clerk to sign it. They are anticipating a completion date no later than October 31st. There are financial incentives in there. I made sure of that for early delivery, kind of like they did with when the bridge in 85 went out. I'll be honest with you. And the last thing I'll say is that the way they've sequenced this is they're going to get the lanes of traffic open as soon as possible and first, and then finish the rest of the bridge after that, kind of the aesthetics and the other non-traffic essential pieces of it. I'll be honest with you. I mean, procurement screwed this up. It started last term. I walked in and it was an active procurement. So because of the Reed administration kind of backlash on the corruption charges there, procurement now is tighter than than I've ever seen, which I guess is a good thing, but it does slow everything up. All that said is it's now out, and now we can track it and follow it. I'm going to try and get a meeting with the contractor, with the impacted neighborhoods as soon as I can, just for progress purposes. Also, I'm talking about Cheshire Bridge. It'll start moving through the neighborhoods. In the last meeting, I introduced 2 personal papers to amend the neighborhood commercial, the north and the south end of Cheshire Bridge. Interestingly enough, Cheshire Bridge is the neighborhood commercial are the only neighborhood commercial zones in the entire city that allow for parking structures like parking decks and parking lots, which kind of completely goes against the philosophy of neighborhood commercial. You want pedestrian friendly access and design and construct and build because you're right next to single family residential. So that's going to start moving through the neighborhoods. You'll see it and it'll come to the NPU for a vote and move through the regular zoning code process. But I did want everyone to know the rationale behind that. And I'm happy to answer questions. Or if you know your neighborhood's going to be talking about that particular piece of legislation at a specific meeting and want me there, just let me know. And then finally, Monroe Drive Complete Streets is finally going to get underway. The work for the improvements at 10th and Monroe are out for bid, and I sent the design for that in my last newsletter. It's going to be a raised intersection, which should slow everyone down as they're going through that. There's better signage and kind of mark and delineation for pedestrians and bicyclists that are kind of coming off the belt line and then going back over either to the cycle track or into the park. When they are done with that, then they'll move to the section between 8th and Ponce and then come back and do the section between 10th all the way to Armour Circle. And yes, it is going to be the road diet that we've been talking about for forever is the design that's going to go in. I'm going to try and get Atlanta Department of Transportation out in advance of all 3 phases to do just kind of public information sessions, but the funding is all still there. It's just taking a little bit of time for them to get underway. That's all I have. I know that someone had asked for contact information. I'm going to drop that into the chat right now. So yeah, definitely, if you have anything specific that you need my assistance with or Lance's help in my office, email me. Lance and I both go through the emails or call that number. And I'm happy to take any questions anyone might have.
Jack White, your hand's up first.
Councilmember, thank you. Thanks. Every study I've seen nationwide about throw as you go shows that it does reduce the overall volume and hence ought to reduce the overall cost. And if when you get ready to do that, you'll let neighborhoods know, I think we can generate some community support for this. Secondly, every study I've seen shows that old folks, I won't refer to anybody in this room, including the speaker, but old folks generate less garbage. And that's certainly my anecdotal unofficial observation. And I would urge a severe reduction in garbage fees for folks over the age of, you pick it, I'll qualify for it. And so I urge that and would be glad to get neighborhood and come down and testify in committee if that would help, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jack.
Okay.
Who's that? Rich?
Alex, hi. Could you find out for us what the status of the North Fork Peachtree Creek diversion project is? It's going to close the Cheshire Bridge Trail for a while, and we were told that it was going to start in the spring, but everything's being delayed. And we tried to get watershed management out to this meeting, but obviously today's a holiday. So if you could give us an update, that I'd appreciate.
Poo tank too.
Yes, okay, too. And
Thank
also, you mentioned about the increase in the property taxes. I think, isn't there a limit to how much a property can increase per year if there are no sales or renovations done? I think it's a 2.5% increase. Is that correct?
Yeah, so Beth Beskin introduced that legislation when she was still in office and it passed, but I believe there was a 3-year sunset on that. So I don't know if it got re-anteed up or if we're still in the 3rd or 4th year. I don't know for sure.
I think I checked with Stacey Evans' office and it was still
Okay.
valid this past year. If you could check to see if it's still valid, in the future, I'd appreciate it.
Yep, you bet.
Alex, I have a question about the Monroe Drive work.
Yes, ma'am.
I know at this point you probably don't have an idea of what the timetable will be, but can you all keep an eye on it to make sure that the work isn't being done during the peak Piedmont Park special events season?
Yep. Yeah.
Last thing we need is for that intersection to be mucked up.
Oh, you're saying the actual 10th and Monroe intersection?
Yeah.
Yeah, they originally they wanted to try and start construction as soon as Midtown High let out, but now, I mean, I think there was, because of the kind of overhaul of the design piece, it has just now gone out to bid. I'd be surprised if we were in the ground before fall. So I think we'll do exactly that. We'll end up, except for the big giant ones. I'll see about trying to dance around those as best as we can.
Yeah, Music Midtown is the middle of September.
Yeah.
That's the last thing we need.
Gosh, it's whole thing. It's Music Midtown and then Pride and then AIDS Walk too. Yeah.
All the way through October. Yeah.
And Stephen, yeah, if you'll email me in terms of the curb issue, yeah, just email that and then Lance and I will figure out who within Department of Transportation to move that with.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate it.
You bet. Anything else?
Yeah, I don't see anything in
Clear.
Thanks for being with
All right,
us.
wish us luck tomorrow with the budget.
Good luck. Anyone else here representing either an elected official or representing an elected official? I don't see or hear anyone. Okay, then let's move on to our consent agenda. An unusual consent agenda in that every one of the special events is listed on it tonight. Let me first go through the list. Here, is anyone here representing the Smart Community Fair? You can just call out if you're here representing Smart Community Fair. Okay. Freedom March. Is anyone here representing Freedom March? Festival Peachtree Latino. I know Mr. Ortega is here. Out of Darkness Community Walk. Kristen, I think I saw you sign in. Great.
Yeah.
Moving Day Atlanta.
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Great. Amanda, is that right? Okay, and Picnic for Piedmont Park.
Terrell is here.
Great, thanks, Terrell. Okay, and Music Midtown Festival is on here. They have asked to defer to July while they work out some changes to their plans after a meeting that was held this month. So is there anyone here who wants to have an application removed from the consent agenda so that it can be discussed in its regular place on the agenda? Okay, is there an applicant here who wants to have their application discussed at this meeting? I'm not hearing anyone or seeing any hands raised. Is there anyone here who is in opposition to any of these recommendations, which would be to support those applications where the applicant is present and to defer Music Midtown? Okay, and as we discussed last month, all special events representatives are required to attend an NPU meeting per city ordinance. So a motion to approve the consent agenda minus Smart Community Fair and Freedom March is now in order. Is there a motion? Does someone want to make that motion?
So
So
moved.
moved. I'll second.
I heard Rich Sussman making the motion and Kay seconding it. This requires 100% of those present to be in favor of the motion. So we're going to use the raise your hand function, which is under the reactions tab. It should say raise hand. If you're in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. You need to be a resident of NPU-F. You don't necessarily need to be a verified member. There are a couple people that have found the thumbs up function. I think you're looking for the raise your hand function. It's in the same screen. Got it. Okay. Okay, the number's still going up. Okay, I see 19 ayes. Let me. Okay. Today I can't find the button to lower people's hands. Kay, can you do that? Okay, just go ahead and lower your hand. I don't know why some months I can do it and some months I can't. Okay, is there anyone opposed to the consent agenda? I don't see any hands raised. So by a vote of 19 ayes and 0 nays, the consent agenda is approved. Those folks that are here representing the special events are excused from the meeting unless you want to stay and listen to the rest of the meeting. Thank you very much for being here tonight. All right, we're going to move into matters for voting, starting with the alcohol license applications, and I'm going to turn the meeting over to Jane Rawlings, who is the license and permits chair, alcohol permits chair.
Thanks, Debbie. First up on the agenda is CVS store number 4747. This is located at 1544 Piedmont Avenue in the Ainsley Mall Shopping Center. Is the applicant and or their legal representative present?
Hi. Yes, we are. My name is Elizabeth Mahoney from Sard and Leff, and Paula Schley is here as well.
Okay, thank you. So this is a pretty straightforward application for a change of agent for a retail package license to sell beer and wine. The property is zone C1. It is exempt from distance requirements. Its operating hours will be Monday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. The manager has over 10 years of experience and will be on premise 45 hours per week. And NPU-F has received no complaints regarding operations at this location. No report was forwarded from Piedmont Heights Civic Association. My motion would be to approve this application. Is there a second?
Is there a second to?
I'll second.
And Ms. Mahoney or Ms. Schley, did you have anything you want to report to the neighborhood? Otherwise, we'll move forward with the vote.
No, ma'am, your report was sufficient.
Debbie, you want to open it up?
Yeah. In favor of the motion to approve the this is CVS, right?
Mhm.
The CVS LRB application, please raise your hand. And now one person has found the clap your hand function. They all work. Thank you. We'll just wait for the number to stop moving. Okay, I see 20 in favor. Please lower your okay, anyone? Okay. I'm having all sorts of trouble here tonight. Okay, all those in favor, all those opposed to the motion to recommend approval, please raise your hand. I'm gonna close the chat. Okay, can you tell me? Oh, here we go. There's one person in opposition to the motion. One nay. By a vote of 20 ayes and 1 nay, the motion carries. I'm gonna lower your hands. Okay, next application, Jane.
Second application on tonight's agenda is Casseroles. This is located at 1287 Lanier Boulevard. This is the side behind Whiskey Bird, basically on the back side of Whiskey Bird. And I did see Betsy McKay, the agent, is here. Welcome, Betsy. This is an application for a new business. It's actually an existing business, but it's a new alcohol application, so it would be viewed as a new business. For retail sale of beer and wine, property is zone C1, located in a shopping center, meets distance requirements. The manager has over 12 years of managerial experience and will be on premise for 60 hours per week. No history of alcohol denial, suspension, revocation, either for the applicant or the location. The operating hours are listed as Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Morningside Lennox Park Association Board voted unanimously to approve, and my motion would be to move this forward with a recommendation of approval. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Kay.
And would either the applicant or their legal representative like to add anything additionally to the report?
No, thank you, except thank you for your time, and we're very excited.
All right, Debbie, if you want to call the vote, I have nothing more to add.
Jane, you have one question, hand raised. Todd Slagle.
Mr. Slagle?
Sorry, yeah, I was just in support. Betsy, I've been a fan of her business for a while, so I'm a little premature with this, but no, thank you. No. No.
Thank you very much, Todd.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve the alcohol license for Casseroles at 1393 North Highland, please raise your hand. I see 21 ayes. I finally found the button to lower your hands. There we go. Great. Anyone opposed, please raise your hand. Okay. Everybody's hand should be lowered unless you're opposing. I see no nays. By a vote of 21 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries. Thank you. We'll send a recommendation to the city.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next application.
And the next two are actually the same facility. One is an application for the main facility and the other for the patio. So I'm going to report on both in tandem as they're essentially the same. So this is an application for Dad with No Name, doing business as Dad's, located at 870 North Highland Avenue. Renee Peschlin, the agent. And this is an existing restaurant, the former Diesel location. And this is an application for a change of ownership for the sale of liquor, beer, and wine for on-premise consumption. There will be no live entertainment. The property is zoned neighborhood commercial 12, has a capacity of 105 seats. The business is exempt from distance requirements. The manager has over 30 years of restaurant operational experience and will be on site 50 hours per week. Manager also owns Little Spirit in Inman Park, and our public safety chair contacted Inman Park to ascertain if there had been any complaints regarding operations there, and there have not been. There had been no complaints brought forth to the neighborhood association or NPU-F regarding complaints at this location. No history of alcohol denial, suspension, or revocation, either for the applicant or the location. The operating hours will be from Sunday, 11 a.m. to 12 midnight, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 1 a.m., Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. The Virginia Highlands Civic Association Board voted to approve on the following conditions, which the applicant has agreed to in writing. And those conditions are restriping all on-site parking to outline 18 spaces, repair the adjacent sidewalk, and to observe the listed hours of operation on the application. So that would be my motion for the body. Is there a second?
And we're going to have to do some, thank you. Do these as two separate applications, since that's the way they were submitted to us. Okay, so Jane made the motion, Kay seconded, and we'll do the main facility first. Did you want to read into the record what the conditions will be, or get a report from Virginia?
Yeah, let me, I was going to allow Mr. Martin and or the applicant a few minutes too, if they need to add something or correct the record if I got anything wrong.
Ms. Rawlings, thank you very much for your presentation. Everything was accurate as it relates to the application and our discussions with the neighborhood. We worked with Jack White and Rebecca Falker on the conditions for the application. Jack would probably be, if the NPU would like the conditions read into the record, probably be the best person to announce those conditions so that we accurately reflect them for the record. But we have accepted all of the conditions. Mr. Petchin is with us tonight on the Zoom. He may want to introduce himself to the NPU so everyone knows that he's here. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Hi, everybody. I just here, wanted to say hi. Looking forward to operating this business in the space.
Great, thank you for being here. Jack, did you want to walk through the conditions?
Yeah, I'm actually not sure that many of these are conditions. That are conditions in the normal sense of them. They've agreed to, the owner and the operator have agreed to restripe, and I believe they'll do that. They've already modified the application. The one that's worth mentioning is this: there is an optional parking space on the north side of the building that has been used for motorcycles in its last iteration. We're perfectly happy for that to switch to motorcycles, which would remain at motorcycles, which would lower the number to 17. And this is what I want to mention to the body. We agreed to that, even though it lowers the number of on-site places, because our experience over the last 3 or 4 years in Virginia Highland has been that ride sharing has altered the very nature of people attending bars in a very noticeable and substantial way. We don't have an accurate measurement of this that I would care to stand up in court and argue, but in fact, our parking lots are not full. We have almost no complaints from side streets. And in fact, often the on-site parking is not full. So as we put in there, we're comfortable with 15, 16, 17, or 18 spaces. And that's the condition I most want to mention. The last one is that there's been some damage for the refuse pickup, and Mr. Petchin's aware of it, has pledged to deal with it. So I think we're fine. I don't think these are conditions that the LRB is going to pay any attention to, other than the application part, and they've already complied with that. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. I was thinking the same thing about the conditions. The one that stands out for me is that the observation of announced hours of operation, and I'd like to include that on the notice to appear statement that I signed to send to the.
Actually, I have some concerns about that, Debbie. I really do. Many businesses in Virginia Highland that I'm aware of, and I don't go to that many bars, have altered their hours of operation, sometimes many shortening them, a couple of them extending them, as long as they're within the limits of the conforming with city law on this issue. I'm not sure why we would want to hold them to hours. What we asked them to do in our note was observe their posted hours, whatever they are, while acknowledging that they do have the right to alter their hours of operation, and it occurs frequently.
And that's how I would state that they observe their announced hours. As you've
I
got.
agree with that. We put.
I mean, it was part of your recommendation, and that's.
Yes, it was, but it's not one the LRB can hold them to.
Yeah.
So as long as they're legal, that was my point. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, the motion is to recommend approval, or to, I guess in this case, to approve the alcohol license recommendation for Dad's main facilities. It was made and properly seconded. Jane, you know your cat's too young to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Or paw. There is one thumbs up. We're good. Okay, that's 19 ayes. Let me clear the feedback. There we go. Anyone opposed, please raise your hand. I don't see any nays. By a vote of 19 ayes and 0 nays, the motion to approve the main facility at Dad's is approved. Next motion would be to approve the patio.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Rebecca. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jane. Okay. Any questions or comments? I see some hands going up already. I'm assuming you're ready to vote. All those in favor of the motion to recommend approval of the alcohol license for Dad's patio, please raise your hand. Once again, we got another thumbs up. Thank you. I see 19 ayes. Oh, let me lower back. All those opposed, please raise your hand. And I don't see any hands raised. So by a vote of 19 ayes and 0 nays, the motion to recommend approval of the patio alcohol license is approved. And let's do the 2 for review and comment. Jane, did you want to mention these?
I did not bring those. But historically, what we've done for any that are not in our NPU is just defer to the resident NPU.
Let me ask if there are 2 alcohol license applications that are on our agenda for review and comment. The first is Umbrella Bar at 675 Ponce de Leon. This is at Ponce City Market. It's in NPU-M, but it's adjacent to NPU-E, F, and N. So we get to weigh in on it. Are there any comments or concerns regarding Umbrella Bar? The next application is Jinya Ramen Bar at 676 North Highland. This is an NPU-N in Ponce Highland. This is a restaurant. It's a new business, but it's in the location where Co's and there's a couple other restaurants along that stretch. Any comments or concerns regarding that application? Rich?
Yeah, Jay, have the affected NPUs taken a vote on these, do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
Oftentimes that's sort of part of the procedural issue. It often comes to the adjacent NPU before it even goes to the.
Okay. All right, thank you.
NPU-M doesn't meet until the 4th Monday of the month, and NPU-N meets the 3rd Thursday, I believe.
Okay.
So they'll weigh in. I'll just let them know that we didn't have any comments. Okay, we don't have to take a vote on those. All right, we're going to go back to special events. There were 2 special events that were on the consent agenda that were not approved because the applicants were not present. The first is the Smart Community Fair. This is a Class C event, 500 participants in Piedmont Park on July 10th, 2022. The event will take place before our next NPU meeting. How would we like to handle that application? Rich?
Yeah, Debbie, I remember this, I'm not sure if it was this particular applicant or other applicants, sort of the same situation the last couple at least the last meeting, and you had tried to contact them on several occasions and didn't get a response, or they didn't show up. And I think ultimately we gave them another month to come back. I'm not sure if this was the one, but if they're not coming back till July 10th, and if you try to contact them and they haven't showed up, I don't see how we can support them. Following city policy.
Right. I did try and contact them for this meeting, did not hear back from them. And they would not have another opportunity to come back because of our next NPU meetings, July 21st, I think. So do you have a motion?
I would make a motion not to support.
And I would second.
Okay.
Shall make a motion not to support.
Okay. The motion has been made to not support the Smart Community Fair in Piedmont Park on July 10th, 2022. Are there any questions or comments regarding the motion? If not, we can vote. All those in favor of the motion not to support, please raise your hand. See 15 ayes. Those opposed, well, let me lower it, clear the feedback. All those opposed to the motion, please raise your hands. I don't see any nays. By a vote of 15 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries. And I'll report that vote to the city. The next applicant that was not present for the consent agenda is the Freedom March. This is one that also has not come to, it's been on the agenda for 3 months, has not been present at any of our meetings. It's a Class E, 1,000 participants. It is an outdoor festival as well as an assembly, which is the same thing as a walk in Piedmont Park on October 29th, 2022. So there would be opportunities for them to come back. Is there a motion?
Move to defer.
Second,
Okay. The motion was made by Kay, seconded by Rich to defer. Are there any objections to deferring? Any objections to deferring? If not, we will defer to the next month's application agenda. I'm sorry. Okay, we'll defer with no objection. And that's it for special events. Next item is Board of Zoning Adjustment applications. The first is V2266, 654 Kimberly Lane Northeast. After the consent agenda was printed and finalized, the applicant sent me an email asking to defer her application so that she can continue to work with some of the concerns of the neighbors in Edmund Park. Are there any objections to deferring this application to next month? We will defer this to July without objection. Next application is V2269, 2293 Armand Road Northeast. The applicant seeks a variance to eliminate the requirement that the garage be recessed and located a minimum of 10 feet behind the front facade of the principal structure to enclose carport and build an addition to the attached garage. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Okay, can you give a brief explanation of what you're going to be doing and why you need the variance?
Hey, Debbie, this is Diane Barfield, the property owner is also here with me. We have an existing structure, a single family house. It's already non-conforming as to the side yard, setback.
Diane, this is Kevin. I think they're doing the one across the street from us right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought are you doing 2293 Armand?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm at the next, you're right. Sorry.
These addresses they're right next.
across the street from one another.
Yeah, they're across the street. Okay, Chris, let's go back to you. You want to give us a brief?
Yes, so I'd like to enclose the carport and turn it into a garage. And the back of the existing carport, build a laundry room. Because I'm going to build a laundry room, I'll need to extend the garage out toward the street. I believe my contract is on, I think it's about 7 feet.
7 feet, correct.
So I'll need a variance for that. And also because the house is within the 7-foot setback of the neighboring property, I need a variance for that as well.
That variance is not on the referral certificate I received. Did you get a second referral certificate from the city that describes the variance that you need for being in the side yard setback?
No, that's grandfathered in.
No. We're all grandfathered in, but when there's a renovation, the variance has to be formally approved. Rich,
Is this going to be a problem with the ZRB, do you think, Debbie? Or
It's
not?
BZA.
ZBA.
Yeah, I would think so. And this is would happen, is that even if the BZA approved this, when the building permit process starts, someone's gonna notice that they're in the setback and require another variance.
I understand what you're saying. I guess I misread it when I saw it. I thought it contained everything. Because, you know, we are aware that it's within the setback. And we were just sort of proceeding that he had to receive a variance in the setback. We just probably overlooked it because, you know, it's sort of one thing on top of the other, but I understand what you're saying also. So we have no problem with it. The board approved this without any problem, but I want to make sure that the applicant doesn't have a problem in proceeding with the city with this.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
what do you think should be done? You have some suggestions?
Neighborhood approved it. What is the problem? Let's just approve it.
I have no problem approving it, but I'm just wondering, once, you know, we want to help, we always try to help the applicant. If the applicant is comes forward and is forthright with us, we just want to make sure that the applicant doesn't have any problems once the applicant goes above the NPU and slows down the process. I mean, what steps do you think the applicant and the applicant's helper can do if we approve this right now before it actually goes to the BZA?
Yeah, so this would be my recommendation. Chris, do you have a plan that indicates what the distance will be from the neighbor? How close will you be to the neighbor?
We are, I'm sorry. We are over 1.5 foot from the limit. So it's supposed to be 7 feet. We are 5.5 feet from the property line.
Okay. And is that a good number? I mean, you're very sure it's 5.5 feet.
Yes, I'm very sure.
Okay. This is what I would recommend. What is Rich explained, we really try and help the applicant out. And what we don't want is to have to drag out the application any longer than necessary. But you are going to need a revised referral certificate. So what I would recommend is that the NPU make a motion to include both variances and ask that the city issue a second referral certificate to make sure that you're covered at the time that it goes to the BZA. And you'll not have to come back to the NPU, but we need to make sure that 5.5 feet is absolutely accurate, because if you're off a couple inches, we'll be seeing you again. So
Angelita, do you have the drawings in front of you? I don't. I know you said you're accurate, but can you just double check that?
Yes, I'm doing it to this right now. Just give me 1 second.
Thank you.
Just muting myself to avoid the noises.
Okay.
okay. So the motion to recommend approval based on Lindridge Martin Manor's recommendation would be twofold. One is to recommend approval of the variance to eliminate the requirement that the garage be recessed and located a minimum of 10 feet behind the front facade to enclose the carport, and also to approve a variance, recommend approval of a variance to reduce the side yard setback to 5.5 feet. And do you know which side that would be? Is it north, south, east?
Be the north side.
It's the north side, and FYI, I'm the neighbor. And I'm totally fine. Yeah, I know the current, where the line of the house is. If it just follows that line and goes up 7 feet, I'm totally fine.
Yeah, that's what we found with our site.
If that helps.
Madam Chair.
We just want to make sure that the applicant doesn't have any more problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack.
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
This motion's not in front of us. I'm glad this is why we have neighborhood meetings and make revisions and refile motions. we can only vote on what's been presented to us in front of us. We can't vote on the second part of that motion. If they want to go back and refile it, then of course we can support it, and I'm sure we will. And so will, it sounds like, Lindridge Martin Manor. But having missed that, we don't have that in front of us in any parliamentary manner. It's not in the second part of the motion, does not exist. So it's not been filed with the city. We can vote on the first part. We've never done this. We've never said, if a new motion gets made in the future with the city, we'll approve it. We can say that, but we can't pass it or approve it because it does not exist. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for Jack. Anyone else have any comments?
I'm not sure I'm understanding what Jack says, because the city doesn't issue motions. We do. I understand that the referral certificate has not been issued, but I don't really see why we can't make a motion to approve on condition that they get the second referral certificate in a reasonable time, or before the BZA meeting or something of that sort.
I've been trying to think of a time when we've done this, and I'm sure that there's been an occasion when we've.
Madam Chair, we've never done this, and we cannot say, let's pretend an item has been filed with the city, that it is now in front of us, and if it were, here's what we do. We can assure the applicant that we will do that in the future based on the emotion of those in this room, and I'm sure we will, and I'm sure, but they need to go. We can only, this is just not good order. We can't vote on something that doesn't, we can't approve something that doesn't exist. And I strongly urge you to rule it out of order as chair.
I'm really struggling with this, Jack, because I appreciate that it's not good order, but it is being a good neighbor. So, and that would be my intent. Rich, well,
Yeah, hold on. I'm just looking at the variance once again. Just bringing it up so you're not seeing my face.
Here, the reason we make site visits is to verify things on the site. We haven't verified this. I'm not doubting the neighbor's assertion, but
Jack,
we do this.
Yeah, we discussed that he was within the side yard setback. And when I understand what you're saying. And when we voted,
You send him back to modify the motion then, Rich. He knew he needed another so send him back to get it.
Hold on a second.
We do that all the time. That's why we have neighborhoods and site visits, is to double and triple check on this. I'm awfully on this, but
Todd Slagle, your hand's raised. We do not have.
Sorry, I was muted. So I think the crux of this, with me being the exact neighbor on the north side of the house, is not the side encroachment, but the going forward 7 feet, right? That's what's missing.
No,
Correct?
the 7 feet is covered by the existing variance application. The incursion into the side yard setback on the north side is not specifically mentioned in the variance application.
Okay.
Yeah,
When I got my notice, and you know, I'm all for Chris doing the renovation, but when I got my notice, what I didn't see was the 7 feet going forwards, right? The side yard is a side yard. There's hardly any room. My house is right on his house. We've got, I mean, it was built in the 50s, right? So between the two houses, there's probably only 10 feet. But he's keeping the same line. He's just going out 7 feet.
Right. Todd, we acknowledge that. And it's, the variance says, it says what you saw is it changes the requirement of building garage 10 feet from the front facade. That's what the variance addresses. It does not address, unfortunately, the setback incursion which already exists and which has to be basically codified through another variance.
Is the carport already there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you going to tear the carport down to build the garage, or are you just going to put walls on the carport?
Just put walls.
Yeah, City of Atlanta saw that, and that wasn't a concern for them. The only thing that they got back to us was the front setback to be 10 foot from the front facade of the house.
Right, I understand. And I totally believe you that when they saw the application that they had no concerns, but we've run up against this before when there was some unfortunate judgment by whoever was reviewing the application.
Yeah.
Let me, Diane.
We can vote on the 10 feet. I agree with Jack. I don't think we can vote on the other one. And I hate to delay this again, but you know, the city screws up sometimes. And I have to admit that we screwed up because we didn't, I screwed up, we screwed up because we didn't see, we just sort of assumed everything was in one package, but I understand it's not one variance, it's two variances.
Okay, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the variance.
Okay, is there a second?
Sure, I'll second. I do have a question though.
Okay, go ahead and ask the motion.
I'm wondering if we have an option to make a motion to empower the executive committee to rule on this after they get the second referral certificate, which we could probably do faster than next month.
We can do that. It'll have to be a separate motion.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So the motion to recommend approval of V2269, which is only the 7 foot, moving the building to 7 feet in front of the house, has been made. It's been properly seconded. Are there any other comments on this motion? Seeing or hearing none, let's open the vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, I see 12 ayes. All those opposed, please raise your hand. I'm seeing 2 nays. Has everyone voted that wants to vote? Okay. So by a vote of 12 ayes and 2 nays, the motion to recommend approval of V2269 is adopted. Now, is there another motion?
I move that we authorize the executive committee to review and approve the second referral certificate when presented.
Second.
So
Chair.
Kay and Rebecca. I'm writing, that's why I'm quiet.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Jack.
I appreciate the spirit of what's being tried to do. Is it your impression, Madam Chair, that the executive committee can take this action routinely under its existing bylaws, since we're not changing those bylaws?
We have never done it before.
Yes, ma'am. Is it your impression that we can do it, was my question. I'm not sure we can. We've never done it before. I'm keenly aware of that.
Right.
I'm asking you.
And I'm thinking that I don't think there's a provision in the bylaws that allows the executive committee to take that kind of action.
Unaware of it, and I would urge us to be careful. First of all, the motion that we're allegedly going to consider and approve, by the way, and I'm sure the speaker meant to say or reject, depending on our opinion of it as it's written, if it ever comes to exist, which it will, but is we would review it in the normal course of events. But I would like to see a site visit I'd like us to run this through as we do all of them. We refer to the neighborhood, they do a site visit. They can do that probably very quickly, but I think accommodating this is just a mistake that got made by both the applicant, wasn't caught at the neighborhood level as they sometimes are, but not always. And I think they're just going to have to wait their turn. And given the delay in how things are going, it may or may not make a difference. But and I do want to point out that I consider myself an extremely good neighbor to them in arguing this, because I think this is going to get tossed out like yesterday's, banana pudding if it's passed. So I would urge us to just say, sorry, it's unfortunate. We learn from it and we move on. Sorry about that. I am sorry for them, but it may or may not matter. I don't know how ready they are. But that doesn't mean we can break our rules under the guise of being good neighbors. We're all good neighbors here. Everybody in the room is a good neighbor, I stipulate. And I urge that you rule the motion out of order and that we move on.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
We talk sometimes here about precedents, often in areas like variances where they really don't exist. A variance is by definition not a precedent. This is a precedent for this body. If it can do it for here, I want you to remember that anytime we come in late with a motion is we want to be good neighbors, because that's the standard. We should treat everybody this way, or we should see the danger of this approach and decline to do that. And that's what I would prefer to do.
Debbie, Jane has her hand raised.
Jane?
And zoning is not my forte, so let me start off by saying that. But it seems, and I don't know if there's a way we can structure this so that we don't set a dangerous precedent, but the site visit has occurred. The applicant has been forthcoming in terms of their plans. We've got a plan with the application, and the Lindridge Martin Manor Board unanimously approved what was presented to us. So it seems to me the only missing piece is an additional certificate from the city. So I don't recall where we've had this situation before. I mean, it'd be different if the board wasn't in favor of it, or the neighbors weren't in favor of it, and the applicant was trying to slide something through, but it just seems like this is a minor clerical error. So what's a way we could structure it and still protect our processes, but acknowledge that every piece generally required by the NPU is in place. We're just missing one referral certificate from the city.
Thanks, Jay. Rebecca?
Yes, I mean, I think that, this sounds like it's, just kind of a pain and we should be able to approve this, but maybe this is just something that we need to make a bylaw change for, because we do have this incident, this happens a lot at the neighborhood level where someone does need a referral certificate and this was missed. And so the city could, send this back again, or maybe not, but I don't know. That's all I wanted to say.
And we've all had the experience with the city. Sometimes they blow past this. I'm inclined to agree with Jane. I mean, I think we've done our due diligence. It was an oversight by the neighborhood, and by a neighborhood that doesn't do a whole lot of variances. So y'all don't have the same kind of eagle eye of attention on these kinds of things. So I am not going to rule the motion out of order, but what I would recommend is that after we vote on this motion, that we take a straw vote of those present to determine if there's support, so that the executive committee would be acting with that knowledge at that time. All those.
Debbie, first of all, I want to just check back with Angelita if she has double checked the side yard setback, what the variance should be. Angelita, are you there?
I've posted.
Sorry, I'm here.
I've posted the plans in the chat.
I know.
And it also has the survey on it. And yes, that is correct what she spoke.
So it's how many feet?
We are 5.5.
You're 5.5 feet from the neighboring, from the boundary line. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So it's a 1.5 foot incursion into the side yard setback.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Let's open the vote for this motion. The motion is to have the executive committee.
Madam Chair, I want to call the group's attention to the fact that the state of Georgia has just changed their legal requirements for advertisements to 30 days. And I don't care what we do, this applicant's going to have to advertise this for 30 days. It's not going to speed through. We'll have time to approve it next month and do it legally. And I will just tell this group that I think this is a very poor way for anybody. I'm going to be asking the NPU and the planning department to clarify this, because I don't think any NPU should be in this position. But I think the 30-day requirement is now law and in the state of Georgia. So I don't think we're speeding up anything for these folks. Thank you.
Correct. We will not be seen for the BZA meeting until July 14th.
Which means that we're already within that 30-day window.
Yeah.
My point, you're too late, and you're going to have to be deferred again well past our July meeting when we could do this properly. And that's assuming the planning department doesn't say, you got to be kidding here.
So my suggestion would be, as soon as possible, go down to the planning department, say, whoops on you, whoops on the neighborhood, whoops on everybody. We want to revise the a portion of the application to include the incursion into the side yard setback, and be ready to come back to the NPU in July. Well, first of all, we would have to take a vote at Liverage Barn Manor, which Roderick can easily get going once we've done another site visit, and then be ready to go to NPU in July.
All right, there's still a motion on the floor. Thank you. If you're in favor of the motion, please vote aye. You'll have an opportunity to vote against the motion. Afterwards, all those in favor, please vote aye. I see 9 vote, 9 ayes. 10 ayes. The number, okay. Let me lower the. I'm clearing the feedback. All those opposed to the motion, please raise your hand. There are 10 that are voting nay. The motion does not carry. Okay. Let's see what happens with the city. And I'll call Raquel tomorrow to see if we can't figure something out. The next application is V2288 2292 Armand Road
Madam
Northeast.
Chair, I object. Point of order.
Now
We're
what
going
is
to
your
call.
objection, Jack? What?
I object to calling the city to try to find a way to get this done. The board,
No.
this group just declined to do it. So it's moot. See you next month. And we're glad to help anybody, any of the applicants with the paperwork and help them get it done. And Rich is right. Leonard Jordan Manor's done their part. If they want, they can move it very quickly. That's an internal matter for them. And we should see them here next month and we'll approve this.
I hear your objection. I am not calling the city to expedite their application
ma'am.
through.
All right, ma'am. Thank you then.
So thank you. Let's move on. We only have a couple more applications. V2288 2292 Armand Road Northeast. Applicant seeks a variance to reduce the front yard setback from 35 feet to 26.5 feet and reduce the side yard setback from 7 feet to 4 feet 9 inches, and a special exception to eliminate the requirement that front-facing garages shall be recessed and located a minimum of 10 feet behind the front facade of the principal structure in order to construct an addition to a single-family dwelling and to replace the carport with an attached garage. This sounds very familiar. And this
Yes, hi.
property is across the street from the previous application. Hi, Diane, go ahead.
Hey, Debbie. Thanks. You explained it very well. We asked for the side yard setback, which is a pre-existing condition for the structure, and we asked for the front yard setback to be reduced because we're going to push forward. And we asked for the special exception to eliminate the requirement that the garage be offset by 10 feet from the front facade of the house. All of that's based on the topography of the lot and the existing conditions, and the property owners got 8 letters of approval. Everybody surrounding the property, including the people across the street. And basically, that's it in a nutshell, unless you've got a question.
Okay, Leonard Martin Manor. Rich Sussman. Do you have a report?
Rich, you're muted.
I wonder if he stepped away.
I see him on the screen, I believe.
Rich,
Rich,
you're
you're still
muted.
muted.
Rich,
I'm sorry. Wind Smart Manor voted 10-0 to approve all three aspects of this variance. We looked during our site visit, we looked at the backyard. It's a steep backyard going towards the house, would necessitate a lot of land disturbance and drainage issues. So I think this is a good decision that the applicant has made, and we approve 10-0.
a second.
Okay, so the motion was made by Rich and seconded by Jack. Are there any questions about the application or the motion? Alrighty, the motion is to recommend approval of V2288, all three components at the recommendation of Linda Martin Manor. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Okay. With more people voting this time. I see 19 ayes. Let me clear the feedback. All those opposed, please raise your hand. I don't see any nays. By a vote of 19 ayes and 0 nays, V2288 is approved. We have one more BZA application. This is for review and comment only. This is V2274, 752 Cumberland Road Northeast. It is an appeal. The appeal notice of complaints for building permits and zoning setbacks of a swing playset, treehouse, trampoline, jungle gym, and small portable shed, less than 120 square feet. The appeals, when they come to our NPU, are only here for informational purposes. So there will be no action taken. And you can see a copy of the appeal by clicking on the link in the agenda. Okay. Next application. Next application is Z2234. This is a rezoning application at 569 Amsterdam Road. The applicant seeks rezoning from R4, which is single family residential. Minimum lot size is 0.21 acres, to R5, single family residential, minimum lot size 0.12 acres. And there is a companion CDP amendment that goes with this. CDP 2229, also same address, to redesignate the property located at the address from single family residential to low density residential LDR land use designation. Is the applicant present?
Yes, Joseph Brickman here for the applicant.
Hey, Mr. Brinkman, you want to tell us what your plans are?
Yes, thank you for having me. And if you don't mind, I could share my screen so I could actually show you.
Oh, go ahead. Love to see him.
All right, can everyone see?
Yes, can you make it bigger?
Yes, definitely. So here is the subject lot right here. Thank you for the introduction. This is 569 Amsterdam Ave. We've got Monroe right here and Amsterdam Walk District adjacent to the west. We are proposing, like you said, to rezone this property from R4 to R5, as well as amend the CDP from single family residential to low density residential in order to construct a 2-family front and back duplex, which will be accompanied by 2 one-car unit garages. And like you can see right here, there are 2 units, A and B, and they again will be front and back. And we have spoken with the community and have gotten a bunch of support from both neighbors on the west and east side of this lot, and have gotten support from the Virginia Highlands Civic Association. And after speaking with them, we have actually amended our plans from a 2-car garage for both units to 1-car garages in order to accommodate that. And that's a condition of their approval as well. So I'm open to answering any questions, and thank you guys for your consideration.
Okay, Virginia Highland?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Virginia Holland. Am I unmuted? I can't tell.
Yeah, no, you're okay. I can hear you.
Thank you. Virginia Holland took a long, hard look at this and voted to support it after we also talked to all the adjacent neighbors. Here's what we noted in this. We're always take a careful look at new rezonings when things are leaving R4, but this one didn't concern us for the following reasons. First of all, the majority of the street, which was once predominantly R4 in decades past, has long since become an even more perilous zoning from a neighborhood point of view, C1. The neighbor immediately to the left already has a front and back unit, the one with the RLC. Mr. Fortner, our planning consultant, recommended that we ask for the 1-car garage along with a couple of members of our planning committee, because that adheres to the Beltline overlay requirements. The resident immediately to the east happens to be a member, as luck would have it, as we discovered, a member of the Invest Atlanta board, and wrote a letter of enthusiastic support to this NPU, pointing out that the area at Amsterdam Walk is already the site of contemplated redevelopment, as both we and Morningside know. Morningside's on the north side, Virginia Highlands on the south side of this road, and is going to be the subject of a far more intense, affordable and not so affordable commercial and residential site in the next couple of years. The Beltline is bought into this. The council members bought into this, and so hence our approval, and I make that my motion that the NPU approve this.
And
I'll second.
thank you. Is the motion is without conditions, right?
No, the motion is with conditions, but they've already refiled them. They refiled from 2-car garage to 1-car garage. So as Mr. Rickman presented with the 1-car garages, I guess that's right. It is no longer with conditions because they've already filed an amended site plan.
Do we need to condition this on the site plan?
It's fine with me. Mr. Brickman, do you have any problem with that? I don't think he will.
And what is the date of the site plan? It's tricky for me. So.
It was filed a couple of days. It was filed last Thursday, I believe, which would be
16th.
Yeah.
June 16th.
Thank you.
Okay. 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 So a motion's been. Oh, any questions about the project or the motion?
Yeah, I do have a question, David.
Go ahead.
Mr. Brigman, could you bring up your first display, please?
Absolutely. One moment. Right here?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So so I see C1 zoning across the street, and obviously the Amsterdam Walk shopping district is commercial. The 2 parcels on the Morningside section of Amsterdam, which I guess is split by Highland Park Lane, those are R4 parcels? Is that correct or not?
Yes, those are
correct. That is not correct. Those are all C1. Every piece of property.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, and then the property on the Virginia Highland side, the south side, the 3 lots are R4, or those
remain R4. Those remain R4.
And across the
Yes.
street are C1, is that correct? Okay.
Correct.
The remaining houses along Highland Park Lane, those are R4, and those C1 also. Do you know,
Those
Jack?
are all C1, Rich.
All
Everything is
C1, all C1.
all
Okay.
C1.
Okay.
There must be a hell of a story. I think it has to do with the dark days before Rebecca and her current board and the other members of the board, when there was not a lot of attention being paid to zoning in Morningside, because it's certainly Mr. Fortner, who also makes recommendations to Morningside, shook his head, of course, when he first saw that, but it was done before he got there.
I'm not surprised that the lots facing Amsterdam are C1, but I'm sort of, it's a mystery. The rest of them are C1, but that's neither here nor there.
Not a happy mystery, but it is a mystery.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to know the backstory on that too, because that is a weird development back there. It backs up to R4 on the other side.
Well, Tad's still around. Let's go visit him.
We'll go together, Jack. Okay.
I would go with you on that. I really would. I'd be happy to sit on Cheshire Bridge Road and have Tad come over, and Tad tells a good story.
I'm sure he would. All righty. Any other questions or comments on this application? Okay. So the motion's been made to recommend approval of Z2234 to rezone 569 Amsterdam Avenue Northeast, conditioned on a site plan submitted to the.
It's actually the site plan of record now, so I don't know how they're going to word that.
Yeah,
For the B.
they'll ignore it, but this way we acknowledge that.
Okay, cool.
Dated June 16th, 2022. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. And there's one thumbs up. Great, thank you. It's okay to have your thumbs up, but just want to make sure we got it. Okay. I see 16 in favor. Okay, the hands are down. All those opposed, please raise your hand. I'm not seeing any hands raised, so by a vote of 16 ayes, 0 nays, the motion to recommend approval application passes. Now we're doing this a little bit backward. The next is the CDP. This changes the land use designation from single family residential to low density residential. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Is that Jack? Second? Is that Rich? Thank you, Rebecca. Okay, any questions about this motion or the application to change the land use designation? We don't do this very often. It's a big deal to do it. Seeing or hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to change the land use designation, please raise your hand. Okay, the numbers stopped changing. I see 13 ayes.
I'm an aye too, Debbie.
You didn't vote, Jack?
I put my hand up. I'm not sure you got it. I can't find my, there it is.
Is it? Okay. Those opposed, please raise your hand. I don't see any nays By a vote of 13 ayes, 0 nays, the motion to change the land use designation is approved. And that is it for applications. We just have a few reports.
Thank you all very much. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being
Thanks.
here and sitting through our meeting.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Okay, so as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, our planner is not here, but they did send me the planning report, so I'm going to be Doug for the next minute and a half. Here are some quick highlights for the month of June. University offers community leadership planning and civic participation courses free of charge. In June, we have, that already took place. There's a housing resources for renters that will be held on Thursday, June 23rd. If you want to attend that meeting, please let me know and I'll send you a link to register. Next, the Tactical Urbanism Project lets residents lead projects that change the use and feel of local streets and public spaces. Past projects include crosswalk art, bike parking, walk lanes, and more. The the Department of Planning and ATL-DOT have updated the Tactical Urbanism Guide to help you get started. You can see the city website for details. People and places are at the heart of the city's history. If you have stories to share on Atlanta's LGBTQ+ history and spaces, the Department of City Planning wants to hear from you. For more detail, you can go to the city website. The Department of Planning is conducting a freight transportation plan to improve moving goods in and around the industrial districts and surrounding neighborhoods in Northwest Atlanta. Join them for the virtual public meeting on June 22nd. I think that's Thursday. No, Wednesday. And let me know if you want details on that. And finally, planning has established the Atlanta Cemetery Network with the help of community partners to advance conversations about the history and culture of the city's cemeteries. The first in-person meeting was last week at Providence Baptist Church. If you're would like more information, please let me know. And that's the end of Doug's report. Neighborhood and committee reports. Lindridge Martin Manor, do you have a report?
No, ma'am.
No report, okay. Piedmont Heights? Any report?
Hi, Debbie, Bill Compton. We have no report this month.
Okay. Is the turnaround at Armour Otley is almost complete, right?
My understanding it's supposed to be complete by the end of July.
Oh, yay. Morningside Lenox Park?
We have a new patrol SUV in our neighborhood now. It's a Mazda CX-5 and it's fully decorated with MLPA signage and lighting. So keep an eye out for it and give the officers a wave. We also have a neighbor who is giving tours through Trees Atlanta every month. So if you're interested in learning the history and trees located throughout Morningside, you can sign up on the Trees Atlanta calendar page. And lastly, the Morningside Farmers Market continues to add new vendors, most recently a mushroom farmer and a pop-up shop of upcycled outdoor clothing, apparel, and gear. So you can check them out every Saturday morning in the parking lot at Morningside Presbyterian.
Great, thank you. Virginia Highland.
Jesselyn, you want to report? I don't know if she walked away from the computer.
No, I'm here. Yeah, you can go.
It's all you. It's all you. Go.
Well, I don't have the agenda in front of me right now. We just had our Summerfest last weekend, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was definitely a success. We even changed our model from 2 days to one, and it was still a success. And we changed our Friday event from an event for just the neighborhood to a public ticketed event. And that was also very well attended and a lot of fun. So thank you all who came to Summerfest and helped support us. Yeah, so that's what I can think of right now.
I'm going to just add that it was Jesselyn's first event and several board members, and they did a great job. It was having extra space between the vendors was very popular, and it was a great success, and congratulations to all those who worked so hard on it. Any personal news you want to report, Jesselyn, to the group?
I'm getting married on Saturday. Otherwise,
And you're here tonight?
yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Edmund Park, anything to report?
No report, Debbie.
Okay, thank you. Emory Druid Hills? No report. Parks, Trees and Environment, Rich?
Yeah, both Herbert Taylor Park and Morningside Nature Preserve were the recipients from some substantial funds from the infrastructure bill from the federal government, and improvements will be made in the future based upon the money they receive.
Oh, that's wonderful. Education Committee, Leah Matthews?
Leah's out of the country on vacation.
Oh, okay. Public Safety, Kay?
The only thing to report is relative to ATAG. We already talked about most other safety issues earlier. Unfortunately, we're seeing the impact of being required to go back to in-person meetings. And so at our last meeting, we did not have enough people show up to have a quorum. So we couldn't, we canceled the meeting because we couldn't do any business. I will say that at our APAB meeting, when we met with the mayor, we did ask him what his feelings were about that and whether he would be open to the idea of doing at least a hybrid type meeting. The reason that this is an issue is during COVID, we were under emergency orders that allowed us to waive some of the requirements of the Open Meetings Act and to hold virtual meetings. Without a change to state law, there's really no provision to continue doing meetings virtually, all virtually. But he was open to looking at that. So we're going to continue to look at that and see if there isn't a way to at least do hybrid meetings, if not completely virtual meetings, where we've all experienced we get much higher turnout if people can join virtually and don't have to drive downtown.
Thanks, Kate. APAB passed a resolution asking the mayor to allow APAB to meet in a hybrid fashion for the same reason.
Right.
So you might want to piggyback onto that motion. Jane, do you have anything to add? Or? You're muted.
Sorry, I would add the ATAG meetings are, even when held virtually, are open to the public.
Yes.
So I think the transparency argument is compelling, that regardless of whether we're in person or virtual, there is full transparency. And given everybody's travel with job requirements and et cetera, this could be a hindrance.
Thanks, Jane. I do have a CARES report. I apologize for doing so much talking tonight, but this is a little lengthy. First thing, several months ago, I mentioned that it may be time for us to move our meeting dates to another night to avoid conflicts with, at the time, it was 2 national city holidays and city council meetings. And since then, Juneteenth has been added as a holiday. So I think it's now time for us to seriously consider moving NPU-F meetings to another evening in the 3rd or 4th week of the month. I've asked planning to let me know if there's any particular night that we should avoid for lack of a Zoom room for us to meet. And we'll begin to talk to neighborhoods to get their preference on the move. But we now have 3 months where we have very limited participation by city employees because they're not working that day, and we've had to kind of work around that. And I think that puts us at a deficit. So look to hear more about that in the next month or so. So let me ask, are there any nights that we should avoid to avoid any meetings, standing meetings for any of our neighborhoods associations in the 3rd or 4th week? I don't think, possibly Druid Hills meets, I think, on the 3rd Wednesday of the month. Just let me know if you do anything. I did receive some documents from the city, and informational SAP 2279 for the removal of trees so that a building could be accessed for demolition at 792 Houston Mill Road on Emory's campus. It was forwarded to Van Bezel, president of the Druid Hill Civic Association, for their review and comment. And they have talked to Emory about their plans. Received a notice of approval for a buffer encroachment at 915 Cumberland Road. The approval was dated April 29th. There's a 30-day appeal period. We'll be happy to share with anyone that's interested. I forwarded a notice of stream buffer encroachment at 863 Courtenay to Rebecca and Jack as information and any action if that's required. Last week, we attended a joint meeting with Music Midtown, their event organizers, including their security teams, APD Zone 5, the City Parks and Recreation, and NPU-E to discuss their plans for Music Midtown in September. You heard my question about the work at the Monroe and 10th intersection. They are expecting 160,000 employees, many of them coming off the Beltline. So we want to make sure that that intersection's open. This meeting is held every year. Interestingly, it was the Parks and Recreation folks that had the most requests for modifications in the Music Midtown plans. So more coming on that, and Music Midtown will be on our agenda in July. And finally, since our last meeting, APAB has met twice. Kay attended the meeting in May, and I attended the meeting in June. Kay, do you want to give a quick report on what happened at the May meeting?
Yeah, the highlight of the meeting was that our new mayor, Andre Dickens, was in attendance and took questions from the body. He talked about his priorities for his administration, and we talked a good bit about public safety and especially gun safety. And he talked about, you know, the need to secure guns in our vehicles and to secure them from children. But he also talked about this new nightlife department that he's established. And their goal is to work with club owners to teach them and their employees about de-escalation techniques when altercations occur at the clubs. And they're also very invested in education of youth so that they do not get wrapped up in this gun culture. He told us that he has put $1.8 million in the budget for youth. He talked a little bit about this midnight basketball program we've read about, which actually does not occur at midnight. It's earlier in the evening when they meet, but they're expanding that program. They have 10 teams now. They're going to have 4 more starting up on the east side and including basketball for women. They have a goal to hire 3,000 young people this summer. And they're doing it through programs with Coca-Cola and the aquarium. And those young people will all be paid $15 an hour So that's quite a few kids that are going to have good summer jobs this year. He talked a little bit about tweaking the NPU processes, taking a look at the research that's been done in cooperation between the NPUs and CCI. And one of the things he felt very strongly about, you may not know that Andre actually was very engaged in his own NPU as he was coming up. And one of the things he's going to require all of his commissioners to have a representative at our NPU meetings, which will be very refreshing. It's been a long time since we've really had full coverage. Let's see, that's probably the highlights.
Great, thank you. And then at the June meeting, we had a fairly lengthy presentation from planning on the work that they're doing to create NPU best practices. They presented an outline for discussion and received some pretty good feedback from APAB attendees. Ironically, it was actually a pretty productive conversation because the microphones and the cameras were not working. So we were able to kind of huddle in a group so that everyone could hear, and had a pretty robust conversation. So there's not much to report on what that's going to look like until we get a good outline and framework in the month of July. And I should have something to share with you then. Their deadline for completion was set by a resolution from Council Member Byron Amos, and they expect to have it completed in the month of August for the CDHR committee. And then finally, we are going to continue to meet virtually since we seem to have fairly good attendance and pretty good participation at our meetings. Are there any questions about any of the reports that you've heard? If not, is there any new business to come before this body tonight, or any other business to come before the body tonight? We are at the end of the agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Are there any objections to adjourning? Seeing none, please feel free to hang up.
I'll keep the door open.
Yeah, that's right.
Save the chat.
You may
Right.
save the chat. There's always good information in there. And if you want any links to anything that we talked about earlier, please let me know and I will forward them to you. Thanks all for coming.
Thank you, Debbie.
Aruna, thank you. I didn't do the script as well as I usually do.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Thank you. I realized this afternoon was like crazy. People kept calling me to let me know that they weren't going to be here or they wanted to defer. Then the link that I sent out didn't work. And 790 applications. So folks were calling me or sending me emails wanting a link. It was crazy nuts.
Oh, have a good week.
Okay.
Good night, Aruna.
Yeah. Let me know if you've got any issues with that property on Kimberly.
Oh, yeah. I think they do. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually got an email from one of the attendees who is furious that we deferred because she won't be able to be here
Right.
next month. And she had articulated her issues earlier in a message, and I think she has some valid concerns. I don't know, what we'll be able to do necessarily, but I appreciate her concerns.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'll talk to her.
Good.
I may go over and see the property because I'm not exactly sure what the issues might be on it.
Oh, we've had a history of stormwater runoff in there's very little room between the homes. So when it rains hard, the homes downstream from that property were being flooded. And yeah, so I'm not really sure what the cause was. And it has, some of the homes have, the homeowners have spent a lot of money and fixed the problem, and they don't want it to recur. They don't want it to come back. So I think that seems to be a valid concern.
Yep.
Okay. Ugh. I hate when that happens.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see. Bye.
Bye-bye.